Hello, Moon to Moon. Welcome back. I'm coming here today with a beautiful, beautiful conversation with three magicians from the 2025 Magicians Table: Christine, Katrine Waugh, and Kate Eastridge. I'm going to talk more about that conversation and introduce them officially in a moment. What I want to do in this moment first is to sit with you and sit with myself under this approaching Virgo moon, full moon eclipse, a lunar eclipse ruled by Mercury retrograde in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, exalted in Cancer. So there's this kind of play between the Virgo part of our chart, the Pisces part of our chart, and the Cancer part of our chart supporting us, giving us some ease in being with the intensity. So I'm going to share with you kind of what's been coming up for me here and what the guidance I've been receiving is to support us in case this is resonant for you and feels like really nice medicine. So what is coming in, it feels true to me, is that there's a part of us that deeply desires to tend to and turn toward what we care for in our life in an intimate way. This Virgo part of us is a part of us that's very dialed into tending in an intimate way and really caring with deep attention. And this is coming from a very sincere place, y'all. It's really beautiful. However, we have a lot of conditioning around perfectionism and around a pressure to show up a certain way. And for so long in our lives, we have learned to be able to hold this sincere desire to be in intimacy with what we care about and give it our attention with another part of us that like is managing that and freaks out a little bit when it doesn't appear that we have the space that we need to give it the attention that we need so that we can show up the way we want to show up, so that we can care for things the way we want to care for the things and be seen in our care for things the way we want to be seen in our care for things. And so it's really important, it feels, to distinguish the difference between the part of you that's like, gosh, I just really want to give this my fullness and like be with the details and be with the edges and hold it in my hands, with another part of you that's like, we got to have enough space to do it. We got to do it this way. It's got to look like this. If we don't give it this, then it's going to be bad. It's going to fuck up. It's like we're going to fuck up, and there's like this voice. It's a part, y'all. It's a part that came into being in order to survive here. And it is so powerful to feel the difference. Okay, so the picture that I received um, to support us is to really draw that part of you out that's like fucking exhausted, freaking out, like we don't have enough. There's not enough. Feel that part of you. Really pull them outside of the larger you that's got you and inviting you to let them, they may want to talk to you first. You may want to have a conversation with them. But when I did this part of me just wanted to like full collapse into my body, really at my legs. And I just saw myself as a white cat, this part. And I just rubbed the cat from the head. When you start at the top and you give the cat like this kind of like a scalp massage as you pull back from the head and move down the neck and then move down through the whole body all the way back and just do it again. And you feel that being begin to just submit and surrender to the care. This is the Jupiterian care here from Cancer. Like really, really, really allow this part of yourself to rest. The hard part about parts work is when we don't want to uncouple from that part. I know this, y'all. the the process of uncoupling so that the larger you can hold this voice as a part and let them become the cat. The uncoupling can be very thrashy, because what it is it's like they're sensing an ego death because we're telling them that they don't have control over us and that we've actually got them. But see, they believe that nobody's got them, y'all. They believe that nobody's got them. Do you hear me? This is the part of you that believes that nobody's got you. And so you have to control the conditions. And this is a major clearing, y'all. It's a major clearing. Uncouple. It's going to feel so good. And it won't be the last time. This happens in spirals and in cycles. So just allowing that part of you to submit to the truth that they're not alone, that there is support, there is care. Let them feel the larger you, rub them down with care. And when you do this, you're getting in touch with a soul part of you who understands larger circumstances. So then what I saw is like once you really feel that part of you is like full blown asleep, because they're just like they fell asleep under your massage. It's just like it's like deep soul weariness, like deep like bone weariness. They're tired, decades tired perhaps. And yeah, like just notice what that feels like. And then what I saw is to open up at the crown to the support that's all around you, to like grandmother and deep mother support. I'm not talking about actual mother and grandmother as you knew them or didn't know them. in human form. I'm talking about the larger mother, grandmother energy that is available. It's available because it exists in you and it's outside of you. And basically just like open up to receive the milk, to pour down the top of your head and run through your body and just fill yourself up. Fill yourself up. Fill yourself up with this moon water. Fill yourself up. Just allow it to fill in all the places where you feel a lack, where you feel not enough, where you don't know how you're going to do it all, where the resources don't feel there. And just see what happens. I hope that's supportive to you. It's all coming up to be cleared. It's all coming up to be cleared. And what will happen is an expansiveness that is always actually available to come in and open up space where you didn't see it before, to open up nurturance where you didn't see it before, and to open up miracles where you didn't see them before. Because we're handing things over to Pisces. I'll share that my favorite Pisces Virgo polarity quote is from Gaston Bachelard from his The Poetics of Space, which was written in French. So this is a translation. I've never actually looked up what the words are in French to feel them in French, but I have this in my workbooks for the full moon because I just love it. I know this quote because I used to be writing my dissertation on like existential qualities of space in ruins, particularly abandoned missile silos. And so I was reading a lot of philosophy on space. So the quote is grandeur progresses in proportion to the deepening of intimacy. Grandeur progresses in proportion to the deepening of intimacy. And this always feels very Virgo Pisces to me because Virgo Pisces feels very spatial to me. Do you feel that too? It's about touch and deep intimacy. And it feels to me like Virgo wants to hold the intimacy in our two hands and get closer and closer to the details and the crevices and really look at it from all angles, keeping our eye on things close, care and with a magnifying glass. And then Pisces is the intimacy of everything at once. And what it feels like to be held by the whole of all animated life as one love across all timelines and dimensions. There is an intimacy that the Pisces part of us accesses, which is the part of us that knows we are always held. So it feels like there's a fall back into that. That is what our ego, the part that wants to manage and control, is being made to alchemize into a deeper understanding of what's true, which is that we are more resourced than we know. And this will facilitate that Virgo part of us that, with deep sincerity and devotion, wants to be intimate, to have that without the control piece. How does that feel? So, from the terrain of the Magician's Table promo, I'm really feeling that ego death happening in the field. I feel very many magicians are either hyper vigilant against seeing the Magician's Table at all because, frankly, this part doesn't want to open to it because it's controlling. And I say this from like the most compassionate, least shaming part of myself. It's just what we do as humans. And then I see many more who do see it, they want it, but they're in the throes of this death alchemy that is about surrender to becoming a white cat that we can love on. Because, y'all, this part of ourselves, they're tired. They are tired of having to be so hyper vigilant. They are tired of having to work constantly. They're tired of trying to keep up with perfectionism. They're tired of managing how people think about us. And they're tired of like managing timelines of being under resourced. So it's a process and it wants its own timing. It wants to not feel pinched. So I'm seeing you and sending so much love. My job is to help you make your way to the colleagues that are already inside, who can't wait to know you, who can't wait to play with you, to alchemize with you, and to create worlds with you through some really, really powerful group magic that is already at play and already a reality. I know because I'm living it. As you'll hear from the magicians who came forward for this conversation, as well as the many across the other episodes that I've been putting out across the last month, the Magician's Table turned out to be like the pleasure point of their spring in a time when many of them were in a lot of time pinch, who were in a lot of emotional constriction, who were going through hardships. And the Magician's Table was a place that could hold them, provided anchoring, provided support, provided expansion, provided openness, provided fun, provided pleasure. And it's just so much support, no matter what was going on. So there's this huge healing around this, around seeing the support that is available no matter what is going on. So let me introduce these wonderful guests. We have Christine, a certified hypnotist, performer, writer, spirit channel, and mother. A student and practitioner of meditation for 3 decades, she creates calm, sacred spaces designed to support transformation and inner exploration. Her approach is intuitive, compassionate, and collaborative, with each journey uniquely crafted, whether guiding someone to ease anxiety, release limiting patterns, or deepen spiritual insight. Christine believes that both the subconscious and the luminous field hold hidden keys to growth and healing, waiting to be discovered. Her training includes certification as a hypnotist through the Hypnosis Motivation Institute and ongoing study in evidence-based hypnosis with Desiree Eckert. She has also studied spirit channeling and mediumship under the mentorship of Alison Pharmakis, founder of Medium for the Message. Ah, yeah. There's links to connect to Christine in the show notes. Kate Eastridge now. With more than 20 years working behind the scenes in film and television, Kate Eastridge built a career helping bring imagined worlds to life. Before she ever stepped onto a set, she was captivated by stories of reinvention and reckoning, blended with the farcical rhythm and profound questions of an existential comedy. Drawn to stories that bend time, such as Groundhog Day and Palm Springs, or the sudden presence of an omniscient voice narrating one's life in Stranger Than Fiction, Kate seeks stories about awareness, about how one's perceptions might change when we shine a light on the cycle of what's happening right now. Kate's original fascination with astrology and use of tarot as tools for creative writing and character development led her to explore how tools of divination prompt reflection while laughing her way through her own hero's journey. If you feel inspired to walk with her, you can find Kate at kateeastridge.com or kate.eastridge on Instagram. And Kate is returning for the Magician's Table 2026, as she shares in the episode. Katrine Waugh, she, her, is devoted to the consciousness of night, the liminal spaces which fertilize our waking moments. As an astrologer and artist, she's passionate about helping people to remember their innate belonging to this universe. She believes that each revolution of breath is a birth, which offers a return to our sacred inner flame, which could never be extinguished. She's the mother of 2 feisty girls and runs a housekeeping business called Mama's 12th House Cleaning. She considers all of her roles in life to be training for deeper understanding of how to hold space for reciprocity and care. You can find Katrina in her Instagram page at Gemini Waves, where a garden of offerings are being planted, tended, and will soon grow. Thank you so much. I really, really, really enjoyed sitting down in our time together. Thank you so much. Enjoy. To Moon, Kate Eastridge, Christine, and Katrine Waugh. So happy to have you here.
It's an honor.
All y'all were our alums from the Magician's Table 2025. And thank you so much for coming on to talk about your experiences, especially regarding our theme, riding the emotional waves with the Magician's Table, inspired by Prince of Cups. Why don't we just go around and you can each share again your names, where you're calling from, pronouns, and share some about your magical modalities and how you like what you came to the Magician's Table to practice, and how would you say what are you practicing now?
Okay. Well, I'll start. I'm Christine. My pronouns are she, her. I'm in Austin, Texas. And my primary magic is mediumship. So, connection to the spirit and more than human guides. That's my main love, and that's what I really focused on during the Magician's Table. And that's the magic that I brought for us during that container.
My name is Kate Eastridge, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm calling in from California, and I brought to the Magician's Table my passion for astrology. I had been dipping my toe into tarot, but really I came with astrology at the time. And as time has progressed, it has started to lean more into tarot. But yeah, that's what I've been practicing lately.
My name's Katrine Waugh. I go by she, her, and I'm coming in from Jeffersonville, Vermont. And I primarily brought astrology to the Magician's Table. But I'm realizing that prior to and afterwards that there's no particular modality that I'm really hooked on, that I kind of like them all.
Were any of y'all in the same cohort? I can't, no, you weren't.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember the cohorts, but who were your 13th readers last year? I'm curious.
Mine was Taken West.
Mine was Lisa Quigley.
Mine was Shahir.
Okay, wonderful.
I love
Okay,
it.
that's amazing. Yeah, so my next question for you is, yeah, do you remember when you found my work and when you found the Magician's Table? Like, when did it first enter your consciousness? Was it even through me? Was it through somebody else? I'm curious to the process of it sort of entering your awareness. And then what was the process of being like, oh, that is a thing that I could say yes to? And then, like, what was the process of getting you to the point of like, I'm going to apply. I'm just going to do it. Yeah, I love these stories. So feel free to take up space with that.
So I found the Magician's Table through this very podcast, and Moon to Moon was just suggested to me, in the podcast app, and I gave it a listen. And you were interviewing your 13th readers, and I didn't I didn't really think too hard about like what it was. Like I read the promo for it, but the main thing I knew I was committing to was attendance. Like I knew this wasn't a thing where, oh, you can watch the replay later. Like I knew that it was very important to be there and in exchange and at the Magician's Table. Like I really was in my mind thinking of like, oh, I'll be at a table with other magicians. But I really didn't like think about the nuts and bolts of what that meant. And then I was a little bit fatalistic about it. Um, I knew that like there was early bird pricing, and I was like, well, if I get my tax refund before the early, like I had all these like little things that sort of played out. And then the last day for early bird pricing, it like I for some reason I kept getting error messages. And I was like, well, it's not meant to be. And then the next day, I don't know if you recall, but you extended early bird pricing like by 2 days, and then it worked. And so but I do have a belief that like the teachers or the fairy people arrive when we need them. And so I really feel like that the fact that Moon to Moon just appeared in my podcast app at a time when you were promoting it really told me that that it was something for me. But again, it was more like I just felt a pull, like there was no strategy around it. What was interesting though is that the year before I had wrapped up an apprenticeship with Alison Farmakis. She's a really wonderful medium. And I'd been doing a lot of channeling and mediumship work on myself, which I loved. But I wanted to be in practice with other people, but not really knowing how to do that. and then suddenly it's like, okay, what's your offering? What's your offering in the magician's table? It was like, oh, this thing that I've been wanting to do. So that was sort of the backdrop. But for me, it was really just like divine timing of this podcast dropping into my awareness and then me feeling a pull towards it. And also really enjoying the interviews with all the different 13th readers. It's pretty dynamic bunch. So that was attractive to me also.
I know that I found you, Britten, through the astrology podcast Unshaming episode, and I'm sure that the link to your website was in the show notes. And so I think that's the first time that I came across like the page for what Magician's Table was or is. And I feel like at the time that I watched it, it was like you couldn't apply even if you wanted to. It was like either actively happening. And I remember thinking like, oh, that seems fun, but it's not available. Like the doors are closed. Um, and then I forgot about it for a period of time. And then months later, found myself researching topics that you happen to have moon to moon episodes on. And around the time you were starting promo for Magician's Table 2025. And I had just sort of come around to exploring tarot more and found that I have a hermit life card and hermit was the theme of the year. And I was like, well, if I was gonna try it, this seems like a year that might speak to me specifically. And um yeah, I kept finding myself listening to more podcast episodes. I kept going back to the sales page and like reading through the sales page so many times, in fact, that somehow I got to a page where I could pay. Shouldn't have been able to do that. In fact, I did. And either you or your team was like, there's an application process. Can we make sure that like you understand what this is?
Okay, I'm
And
interrupting to be like, oh my God, that was you. I remember, but like I forgot. And I never returned to knowing who it was. Oh my gosh, thanks, Kate. That's too funny.
yeah, that was I guess, when presented with the opportunity to like put my money where my mouth was, that it was like I was saying yes without still going through the process of like, no, actually, we need you to talk about what you think this is first. Where I was like, take my money. And then was like, but I actually need to talk about like what I feel like I would be bringing and receiving. So yes, that was me. Um, and thankfully, once I went through that first step, very 3-5, jumped around and then went back, that you said, come on in. And so I did.
Oh, so nice to hear all these stories. Um, it's so fun to think back on all of this. I remember I too found you on the astrology podcast, and I listen a lot to your podcast, and have thought about, like this time and like what brought me here. And I had this memory of like, I'm a house cleaner, and so I listen to podcasts all day long. And I find them to be, I've had this like all these like beautiful realizations about like how cool this art form is, and like the frequency of people's voices and how people hold each other in conversation. And I remember listening to you and like totally feeling like a poster child for like the shame stuff, and like loving all of what you were saying about astrology and unshaming it. And then there was this moment where like I think you might have even like had to check your phone or something like that because of one of your daughters. I don't even know if I'm remembering that correctly, but it was actually in that moment. It was like this kind of beautiful moment where I was like, I just liked, like, I think Chris Brennan is like such a incredible human, and I've listened to so much of him. And I just loved like the way that you two were both holding yourself in that moment, and like in this like special podcast that's so big for everybody. And it really like hooked me in that moment and onward. So then I started listening to you, and I started listening to your transmissions on the planets. And it was like really bringing forth like so much of what I resonated, how I resonate with astrology. It was like really coming through you. And then shortly afterwards, I started hearing you promote the magician's table. I don't know, the timeline is a little fuzzy. And I was like, no, 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 like that's, like that's for me, like down the road, like when I'm a little bit more confident in my skills. And then the promotion kept going, and I was listening to the 13th readers, and just like really there was just some like the way that you were offering it to anybody, any magical person. And I've known I'm a magical person forever, from the time I was like a little girl. I like would think I would sit by the ocean and think that I could make the waves bigger, and I just have always like held that inside as this like secret place inside me. And I was hearing you and all of this like community around you speaking to these parts of me that I hadn't been able to express very much. And so I remember I was hiking. I did a lot of hiking that year on my split board, and I would hike the mountain with my friend Emily. And I would like, it was like a secret. I was like, I think I'm going to apply. I think I'm going to apply to this. And the beautiful thing is like what was being reflected back to me is like I always carried my tarot cards around me. I'd given tarot readings to Emily many times, and she was like, yeah, of course, like of course you're going to apply. Like that's like no surprise. But to me, it was like really coming around to this idea that I too could be a part of this bigger thing. And so I just kept it as like a really close secret that like it's a potential that I could do this. And then I like plugged it in on my calendar when you were going to open it up. And yeah, lots of emotional waves from that point forward. But I think that it was a build up to like, I too can be a part of this bigger thing. And yeah, that's how it all started.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I love these stories so much. And I too can be part of this bigger thing. Yeah. It is like a big thing. And it's also to me very intimate and small. I don't know if that resonates for you, but it's both. I think maybe because of the cohorts. I think that there is a lot of like intimacy in the space within it. And it also is a kind of very big, has like a movement quality about it. So I'm very curious to talk about your experiences of like entering, um, the first week, and like what it was like to make contact with the group and learn to be there and get into the rhythm and get into the flow of your readings and partnering and yeah, then just moving into the experience. I'm curious if you have any anecdotes or anything you want to share about that.
I do. I I get I get a little emotional right now just remembering it. I in when I signed up, it was just like, all right, let's go. Like I just felt very open and just looking forward to it. And then as it started, like we very quickly entered into this protective, I want to say sort of like cave. Also, that was highlighted by, we had someone in Australia, we had a few people in Ireland, a weird big Ireland connection in that cohort. I also traveled, a few of us also traveled to Ireland during that time. And so there were like readings done at weird hours, and um which just really accentuated that sort of like time outside of time feeling. And if I look back, I don't remember much of what was going on in my life outside of the magician's table. It was like energetically that time, which would be the hour and a half that we would meet on, for my group, it was Wednesday nights, and then the total of an hour, with reading exchange. But it was like energetically, those became so big that it was like it's it was really an example of how like what you put your energy on grows. So maybe like numerically it was only a small fraction of hours a week, but energetically it was so much more than that. And I I just remember doing the sessions, and I was traveling a lot during that time for I don't remember why, work, I don't know, stuff. And but I just remember like doing readings in strange places, but then always like when I would be done, either as the reader or the receiver, it was like, well, that was the best part of my day. Like, it was just, it was felt so good. Um, and I really heard it during at some point early on. Maybe you wrote it somewhere, maybe you said it out loud, but it was, um, trust in what is emerging. And so and sometimes in group situations, I have felt like an outsider, or, felt like I didn't belong. And so I really, and you had addressed like, hey, if there's stuff that comes up, trust that it's there for you to work through. And I should take that lesson to the rest of my life beyond just to that container. And and um and so I really took that to heart. And yeah, I mean, for me emotionally, it was really a happy, positive, hopeful time. I was ready for anything. I would have honored other things too, had they been more difficult. My experience was not difficult. It was actually really wonderful, and it led to just a lot of trust in visions and trust in spirit, and a lot of just like honing my own gifts in ways that I hadn't had an opportunity to do. So the emotion that I surfed was just one of like, oh, this is what it feels like to be doing something, to be putting a lot of energy into something you love. It feels pretty good, turns out.
I I think what was interesting is that because I entered in an odd way by paying before the application, that there was part of me that was wondering if my application would be rejected. And so then once it was like, no, you're in, it was like, oh, this is happening. Okay. And not knowing what that first initiation weekend would be like. And honestly, it was a blur. Like, having the opportunity to just like introduce yourself for a moment and then pass to the next person, it went so quickly that I was like, I don't even know what I said. I am like, I can't remember people's faces. Like, it went by so quickly that I was just like, what is this whirlwind of that you've just been like dropped into a community that's going to like embrace you for the next couple of months. Um, and so I think by the time I got to our first like cohort meeting where you really get more like, okay, this is who you're going to be talking to, and getting to know, and they're going to witness you and you're going to witness them, um, that it started to feel more real. And um getting to know what people were coming to the table with. And I think what I appreciated in promo was you're like, maybe you are an imposter. Like, maybe you're not ready. Maybe that's okay. Um, and so I tried to take it on like whatever this is. It's going to be a very unique experience, and unique experiences make for great stories. And that I knew that I had the willingness to like show up and see what would become of it. Um, there was something very clear for me that I knew I had the willingness to show up. And even though I was nervous, um, and that those nerves were totally on my side, like absolutely no one made me feel uncomfortable. Like it was, um, you call to, or rather, people who are called to this experience are, I think, unique and generous people. And so I think there's just an openness to explore that is so rare to feel like you're like protected. I think in another podcast you mentioned that it felt very like Cancer Capricorn and also Leo Aquarius, where it's like this is a safe space, but we have boundaries and you're gonna shine and you're gonna receive and you're gonna have, boundaries and all these things, like the structure and framework around it really holds that actually everyone is showing up in their vulnerability. Um, and it's just really cool. It's just really cool. And Christine, you talking about it being like the highlight of your week, like, yeah, if I think back on what spring of 2025 was like, there was a lot of chaos, not unsimilar to now of what's going on in the world. And there was an interesting um, grace of being able to like go somewhere and experience people and like you share the medicine that you have to offer and then you get to receive someone else's like every week is like everyone should have this. Like who wouldn't want that? If you're looking for like some respite that will challenge and expand but also hold and protect you, like that the table does all of that.
Wow. I relate so much that you said, Kate. It was really well said. Oh, yeah, I remember the initiation weekend was like much more powerful than I had expected it to be. Um, it was my first time really being a part of anything like this. And during this time, Saturn was going through my 11th house and squaring, it had just squared itself natally and was squaring my sun. And so it was like it was kind of a Saturn experience for me at times, which was challenging sometimes, but also the gift that just keeps giving. Um, and that initiation weekend was like the structure, I think, of this class, like you get to feel it in that initiation weekend, and then it's very subtle throughout, but it really holds you in a way that gives you the opportunity to build your own integrity. But yeah, so the initiation weekend was like, wow, like this is real magic. Like this is magic in the world being like enacting that, not just like, the magic that I know, that I feel, that I see, but like this is like magic being enacted into the world. And then what was beautiful is while I was having this kind of Saturn experience, like figuring out like how do I belong in a group, having some fumbles here and there. It was funny, the first time I met my cohort, I was like giving my introduction and my computer fell on the ground, and it was just like this, like I was just like, it was just kind of like like rocky and figuring it all out. But I was held in this space by such tender-hearted people. And I think that one of the gifts that keeps giving from this container and lots of the other ones that you hold space for is like bringing people forth that are really here with tender hearts, that maybe have felt more like they needed to hide in the past because the world can be pretty hard. And so, yeah, I just, it was the highlight of my week too. And being able to hold space for each other and reflect like our goodness and like our like magic back to each other was so special. And I just remember, you know, I talked to my mom pretty regularly and was trying to kind of like relay what I was experiencing to her. And which is really hard to do with like these like profound magical experiences. But I one of the coolest parts was that we were coming from all over the globe. I thought that was like one of my favorite parts is like, you know, we were literally in opposite time zones, you know, and somehow like making magic together in this one space and time.
I love hearing all this so much. Thank you. Yeah, I guess what I'd like to hear about now is like more that about closing and what you really began to learn about yourself. I always do you feel it this way? I always feel like it's sort of like a labyrinth where you go in and there's sort of like a middle point where you're like at the heart of it and then you're walking back out the rest of the way. Um, or like a hike where you go all the way into like the waterfall and then the way back out is like I don't know, there's like a different energy to the way out as in the way into like the heart of the thing. And then you learning like what was I see now what the medicine was for me, both for me personally and in terms of my how my magic wants to be expressed at this time. Do y'all have anything you'd want to share? Does that resonate at all for in terms of like coming to the end and being like, well, that was what? You know, like I suppose that was da 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 da. Like, what's your story, you know, that you came to see at the end?
Oh my gosh. The Well, what Kate and Katrine both said about just the tenderheartedness and the vulnerability was, I feel weepy just thinking about it. Like having, okay, let me back up. The first half was like, oh wow, I have another reading, like trusting in the visions, and then having the session and being like, it worked. You know, I was just showing up with my own intuition and trusting that messages would come through and that they make sense. And so the first half was really just sort of that surprise and delight at that every week. And then also getting comfortable, like just being like, oh yeah, I have a reading and I trust that it will unfold in a way that it's meant to. And then the back half was really like you could see the end. Like the first half went so quickly that I could feel the second half racing by. And then it was this sense of just like the delicateness of being in this time and space with these people and like I and I just cherish that. Like I really feel like I'll carry that with me. I still do. Like there's just sort of this like fragility. I can't quite get at the word, but because it was just really just magic, and it really did contain such a tender-hearted group. And I remember on the our final meeting saying that I felt like a baby deer like, okay, now I have to go out in the real world. Like I felt like a baby deer getting on its legs and having its big doe eyes, like, whoa, and strengthening its legs. But it's like, okay, like we've been making this magic together and sharing it and gifting it to each other. And Kate's so right, like that in and of itself, like getting a reading every week is that's amazing. And but yeah, we've been sharing it together, and like now you can go bring that magic out into the world. And I really felt like this just baby deer, I guess they're called a fawn, like going out into the world, and it felt very just sort of fragile but hopeful. And yeah, just yeah, I just feel very it's very sweet to reflect on how kind of shaky that felt. Like, okay, we're doing this now. We're closing it, and love to everyone, and now we just can share this with our gifts in a broader stage or a broader world. It's very sweet.
Britten, I remember when you talked about this and at the halfway mark. And I remember going back to our cohort and being like, this doesn't feel like the middle. Like for some reason I was like, I don't feel tired. Um, there was some part of me that felt like as it progressed that I was getting more energy, that it felt like I was honing my skills, that I was enjoying this process, that that things that the first week felt like uh Calendly scheduling, wait, what? Was like second nature, like, yep, that's what it was like falling into the routine of it and being empowered by, yep, there's a reading this week, like, oh, I'm getting that one same day or tomorrow. Like, I enjoyed it and felt it was like I felt myself getting taller, like as the weeks progressed. And that in my like, it doesn't feel like I'm halfway and now I'm like hiking back, that my personal experience felt more um like we were putting on a play. And that you don't know anybody yet and you don't know your role yet and you're not sure what you're doing, but like you only have so much time and you're building the sets and you're figuring out your stuff and the lighting and all that stuff. And um and it's working closer and closer to like refining the thing that you're working on until it's ready to like share with the world when you're done. Um and then in the way that like when it's over, you're just like, oh no, it's over. It's all over. We don't get to work on this anymore. Like this group of feel like this is a very special experience. And now like I get to put that experience over here and move on with what I've gained and learned and new friends and colleagues. And like it's just yeah, there was something for me about the middle to the end that felt really good. And I know everyone's version of like what they're offering might have a different level of like how intense and or vulnerable that might be, but for me, I was like, I was having so much fun that I just didn't want it to end. And so I was like, uh, okay, well, next year. So yeah, I where I started is very nervous, started to feel very normal and um like I would end sessions like buzzing with like just joy. So yeah, I didn't realize how much I would could enjoy what this container held. Like I didn't know. And not just like the receiving, but like the giving. Like it was um it like had a charge to it that I haven't come across. So like, thank you for creating such a container.
Hmm. Yeah, the middle to the end. I just feel like the whole way there was so many layers of like strengthening like self-trust and relationship to to the practice. And there was, I think, too, like all of these teachings that were happening outside of the group that were really supportive too along the way, that were like, I feel like it was just like such a practice, it was a practice of like learning how to be in union with another person, learning how to hold space. Um, I would get so many more readings if I had more money. And that was like such a huge gift to be able to get read for as well. And I think in that process of like, you know, I would, before this container, I would want to read for my friends all the time. And sometimes they'd be willing, sometimes they'd be like, okay. Like, but like to be in a container of people who are like consciously making magic, like choosing to do this together, was really special. And then also it was like really good to be able to be reflected by these people of, all these really unique individuals, and learning like also like how to take what is meaningful, you know, because it was a lot also getting so many readings, and that's a lot to take on, but it was like really learning to like find the threads of meaning and resonance, was really powerful. And then at the end it was like, I none of us wanted it to end, and I'm still in a WhatsApp chat with all of my or most of my cohort, and people offer readings to each other still on there and are supportive like in our practices and in our business and in our lives. And it just like, I think that relationships are the strongest, like time really is the gift. um and there was so much structure in this certain amount of time that like, built something that actually lasted and continues to last, and I feel like has helped me, as I move on in my own practice, just like as a human being and also as an astrologer, in learning how to like hold myself and hold space for other people. And so yeah, I definitely was like, I couldn't wait to do it again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm curious if you'd share, yeah, any words for those. I mean, you've said so much. You've said so much, but do you have any like anything you would say to somebody who may be on the precipice of saying yes? And yeah, I mean, y'all know all the objections. It's harder for me to name them. It's probably easier for you to name them. So you can address any objections that you may know someone has.
I'm trying to think. I mean, if what I would say is if you feel the pull, I would honor that. Like there's l- likely something there for you. And yes, that's a full sentence. There's likely something there for you. And yes, I don't know what the objections exactly are. I'm trying to remember what my objection was. Like I felt like it was a very good price. Like it was enough. It was enough money for me that I wouldn't have I wouldn't have spent it on something that I felt halfway about. But it was also accessible. But of course, that what that price means to someone is different for everyone's situation, right? Um, I the time, if people have a time commitment being a thing, I mean, that's it really isn't that much time. But you definitely don't want to commit unless you get so much out of it by going all in. I feel like that's the only way to do the magician's table. If anyone is nervous because they're like, I don't I don't know if I'm good enough or imposter or whatever. And I love that Kate remembers that. It's like, maybe you are an imposter. I forgot about that. But it, it, it's it's a chance to really like if you have a magic that you're doing, like it gives you an opportunity to just go all in on that for a while with real people who want to be there and who everyone is very kind and yeah, it was just very lovely. Yeah, it's like I just feel like if you're considering it, you belong there. Like just just accept it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, you know your finances, you know your calendar. If you can make those things work, like we're waiting for you. Like, um, I think I was trying to consider what I was doing before, and I think I touched on it a little bit. Like, I was listening to the podcast episodes of magicians from the previous year who were also saying the same, like, this was so great. So, like, the evidence of people going through this and being very happy that they did is there for you to listen to. Um, you can reach out to me on Instagram if you want to, if you have questions about it. But like you have lots of people who are willing to like tell you that um they're really glad that they did. And it's like, how many times are you going to bookmark that post? How many times are you going to go back to that sale page? Like, that's what I did. Like, I mean, literally, I don't know what I did that I went to your website so many times that somehow I found a page that I wasn't even supposed to know was there and just paid. So,
That's how
like,
magical your desire is.
Yeah.
You broke it
I
open.
I still don't quite know how that happened, but I think it's if you can't stop thinking about it, like join us. Um you're welcome to join us. And I don't think it's something that you can regret. Like Britten, you've talked sometimes about like deciding I'm gonna get what I want out of a thing.
Mhm.
Like, um, decide what you want from this and like you'll get it. You will, if you just keep showing up. And you'll have fun in the process and meet a lot of cool people on the way.
Yes, amen to all of that. Um, yeah, I just think too, it's like it's the gift that keeps giving. Um, Everything that you do is there for you forever, right? So it's like all of these teachings, that you can come back to as you graduate through your lifetime into all of these different phases. There will be these teachings that are kind of timeless and there for you. Um, and then also, like, I have many, not everybody, but many of the readings that I got were recorded as well. And so they're just there for me anytime I want. And, when we listen to these things at different points and times in our life, they offer something new. And if you are going to spend money on a reading to get information, it's pretty similar to paying a monthly fee for this class. And you get teachings and readings and community. So it's really worth it. And I have two little kids. I'm a house cleaner. I don't make a lot of money, but I'm learning the value of myself, and like how to give myself what, the gifts that I can afford and that I deserve. So you deserve this too if you're able to make it work.
Thank you. Well, to close, I'd love it if you'd share a bit about anything you got going on, how people can connect to you, what your dreams are for this spring, anything they want to share.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I've enjoyed this conversation so much. Um, I have a website of my offerings and it's the Luminous Field, so the luminousfield.co. And the something I'm doing now, I've started a, a course called Creative Grief Studio, and it's exercises to help people work through grief. I'm not an art therapist, but there's definitely an overlap there. But it's just different kinds of ways to support people through grief, and so that's something I'm really excited to be starting. And otherwise, I'm just continuing to do readings and living my life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Britten.
You can find me on my website, which is just kateeastridge.com, and see how you can schedule time with me if that's something that you're interested in doing. And I'm gonna be back in the magician's table this year, so like what's next in terms of what my offerings are will be evolving this spring. And so, we'll see what's coming forth. But I'm excited. And having this conversation just makes me want to reach out to all the people from my cohort last year and see how everyone is doing. But yeah, hope to see you in there.
So right now, the place to find me is on my Instagram page, Gemini Waves with two eyes. Right now, I'm seeding a lot of offerings for the future, and some of them are starting to grow and blossom. There's most of what I offer is local, but I will do readings over Zoom as well. But I'm going to be starting some offerings with a friend, Travis Elliott, who I met in Santa Fe, New Mexico at the Living Astrology Conference. And him and I are bringing forth first a offering on the moon, and there will be more to follow. And we're very passionate about bringing astrology into the lived experience, into the body, and really reminding people that this is not something you need to outsource, but it's something that lives inside you. And many, many people in your ancestry have been looking at the stars. And this is something that's accessible to everybody and a language that we can all speak together.
Thank you so much. Thank y'all so much for being here today. Thank you to Kate, to Katrina, and to Christine. Appreciating you. Listeners, I hope you'll connect with them if you resonate with their voices. and inviting you to submit your applications to the Magician's Table by the end of the day on my birthday, March 4th, this Wednesday. This is the due date, especially for everyone who may be seeking scholarship funding. 1/3 of all seats are reserved for scholarship funding. That's a lot. That means tuition that's underneath the listed 3 tuitions as the main tuitions. So everybody's paying at different price points this year, whether you're paying in one of the published prices, thank you very much. Whether you're paying in the scholarship prices, thank you very much. I've created a system for you to name what is the most stretchy, the most expansive number that you can do that is not going to collapse you and that you feel that you can confidently complete this contract. So, inviting you to come in and explore how you want to name your desire for this. What are you calling in? What are you calling in for yourself? What are you calling in for yourself and for this world? What are you calling in as an experience for your magic, for your humanity, for your participation here, for your impact here? What do you want to call in? Because guess what? You're going to get it. This shit works. The Magician's Table is a deeply expansive space, and it's going to, for many of you, bring up a lot of protectors on the way in, especially once you're in, they start to just understand that they're safe. The protectors are loudest before you say yes. And if you can move through, then you can move through anything that happens on the other side of this container, because the hardest part is saying yes. Once you're in, as you've been learning, it is like such a shiny, bright, illuminating space, a padded space, a sweet space, a creative space, a fun space, a feeling space, a beauty space. It is going to be a thing that you're going to look back on for the rest of your life and cherish and say, thank goodness I said yes to that. Thank goodness I decided I have the resources. I do. I have the time resources, the energy resources, and the financial resources, even if parts of me don't believe it. Because the parts of you that don't believe it, 9 times out of 10, this is rooted in the distortions of our programming. These are colonial, white supremacist, patriarchal distortions. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to banish those parts of us that are protecting us. We're going to invite them to become white cats that we take care of. Loving on them because they most want to just sleep. They want to sleep and they want to believe it's safe to trust in being here. The Magician's Table always brings up deep spiritual journey material. That's what it's for. So if you're ready, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to even be doubtful. You will not be alone. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please reach out to us. You know how to reach us. Sending a big hug. Lots of love under this full moon week. Looking forward to seeing your application by Wednesday night, March 4th, 2026. Cheers.